my Rolex. Everywhere I go flex, valet park on some low shit. Whole lot of smoke in that Rory, that thing poke. Burning rubber, wearing cameras, they was undercovers. Under pressure, made statements turned on their brothers. Never judge you, but the streets will never love you. I wonder what it come to in your brain for you to run to. One's the haters, handcuffers and maces. All us dumb niggas, cause our culture is
Sit down. Welcome to Fathers Inspired, Restored, and Motivated, the podcast. I'm your host, Shea Styles, and I have the pleasure of introducing the inventor, the whole person who discovered and came up with the concept and the idea of the firm, the podcast. So, what's up, Nick?
What's going on, Shea?
You ready? You on the hot seat today?
It's interesting.
How you feel about that?
It's interesting switching seats, man. It's very interesting. That's all I can say.
So what's interesting about it?
Because, we're used to interviewing somebody else. So now to get, I guess, interviewed, it feels just different. But I'm excited. And like, hey, it's a 1 year anniversary. So
Yes, so 1 year to this day that you guys filmed the very first episode of the Firm podcast. So
Yeah.
I guess my biggest question is, what even inspired you to even start doing this podcast, kind of centered around fathers, right?
That's a good question. For me, at the time, I was going through a lot. And I went through a lot. And I felt like it was no place, like I didn't have any guidance.
Okay, so rewind. So going through a lot could be with a girlfriend, at work, or whatever. Let's get more on the topic of what were you going through.
At the time I was going through, I went through a lot with both my children.
Okay.
With their
There we
moms
go.
and just kind of not, I guess, having somebody to navigate you through this fatherhood journey. So I felt like I was kind of, I'm going to say, this I just lost, just kind of
Okay.
wondering or existing. And I felt like I wanted to create a platform to where men can have a place to where we talk about issues that we face and kind of
Okay.
serve as more a support community for fathers and just
Okay.
men through this journey. Because a lot of times as men, I'm not gonna say we cast to the side, but it's like we cast to the side in the sense of, you just figured it out. I had to figure it out. You got to get it from the mud like I did. And I feel like that's like one of the dumbest things ever.
Right.
So I wanted to create a place to where it was very transparent, but very, I'm gonna say transparent, open, and honest communication.
A safe place?
Yeah, a safe place with no judgment. Because I knew sometimes I went through a lot and I needed somebody to talk to.
Okay.
And I wanted to, again, create an environment where we touch those topics.
Okay.
And not really shy away from it, whether it may be custody. How did you feel when you didn't get to see your kids? How are you feeling in this space? Talk through that space, because as black men, we don't have that.
Okay.
And I knew I wanted to share my story, because I felt like if I shared mine first, that's why I did that in like the first episode, more people will be open to hearing, because they're like, okay, he kind of exposed himself. And I felt like I didn't mind exposing myself, because again, you couldn't judge me.
Right.
Because you went through a story, because it's my story.
Right.
But I'm at a place to share it, and I kind of went away from the old myth, how we grew up, like your business is your business. No, God gave me a testimony, and I just wanted to share it because I felt like through that story, I was going to inspire so many fathers and just men to I guess, navigate through this journey and not really give up.
Right,
Because when
it's
you don't
tough.
have support, it's tough as hell, man.
It seems like black fathers seem to get a bad rap, and then they have to go above and beyond to prove their worth, their interest in their children. And I was just telling a friend of mine today that he needs to find a support system, because there's a lot of fathers, and there's just bitterness anytime there's a separation and a breakup. Rarely do you see people kind of amicably go their own way. It's usually this battle and this fight, and the children kind of get lost in the tussle in the mix. And it seems to me that black men throughout the court system, they have to fight extra hard to get their children, or even to see their children. So, you creating this safe place in this podcast for people to be able to see and be able to relate and reach out for you for help. One of the things that I wanted to ask you about was, what was your biggest aha moment for the podcast? Like, what made you be like, this really works. This is it.
Oh, man. It was so many.
I just need one. I don't need many.
The biggest, I would say right now, at the top of my head, was when you were getting text messages or emails just saying thank you. because you knew people were listening.
Okay.
And you know people needed it. And you had a lot of my partners, even like a lot of females, they were just tuning in, but mainly guys just saying like, hey bro, I needed that. Man, like y'all on point, like you and Charles, like y'all doing a phenomenal job, bro. Like y'all really touching some things that we're dealing with. And y'all kind of the voice for the people. So they looked at that, then it was more like, bro, I never knew you were going through that.
Right.
Like, damn, you handled this in such a graceful manner. So I think that was the biggest aha, just like the support, and mainly from men, because a lot of times men, it takes a lot for men to even express to another man like, hey, I appreciate what you're doing.
Right.
And again, through this, that's what we're trying to create, the where like, it's okay for you to tell a brother, hey man, thank you for this, or I appreciate you for this.
Now, I heard you mention a gentleman by the name of Charles.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting Charles. Can you tell me his position? He's not here today, but tell me what role that he's played in the firm.
Man. He's
Being a dad.
Dad business. Real dads, man. We do real things. So he's taking care of some dad business. Charles' role, man, he's the co-host. He's my co-host. We actually linked up on the first episode because my initial thoughts were I was going into this podcast by myself. Like, okay, I'll bring him on just to interview me, kind of how we're doing now. And the chemistry was really good. And we had known each other for years, and we used to just throw around so many fatherhood topics and just talk in general about fatherhood. And so once we did the first episode, it's like, hey man, I want you to do this with me moving forward. Would you be interested? So we just clicked and we kind of rolled from there, man. I mean, we've been through everything during this journey. When I tell you everything, man, we've been through everything. But the beauty of it is we got a passion for it. And we want to inspire fathers. We believe in the work, and we just know what's needed in our community.
All right, so it's been quite the roller coaster ride with you and your partner in crime. So the question is, out of all the episodes, since it's been 1 year ago today, what has been your favorite episode so far? I know you don't have to tell everybody it was with me, right? I get it, it was with me, but aside from the episode with me,
everybody that. I'll say you outside of that one.
Aside from the episode with me, what was your favorite episode?
Favorite episode, man, it's so many. Cause I'm hard, so I go back and watch them word
really
for word.
Tough on yourself.
And I'm tough, man. I mean, like I may say, hey, I should not have said this time. I need to say this at this time. But answering your question, probably would be the intro, the first 3 series, because those were kind of serious about my life, and I think I like those because it gave me a chance to it was therapeutic.
Right.
I was able just to get out some of my feelings and share some things and kind of put it out there. And I think just kind of putting it out there in the universe, so I was kind of letting go. But outside of that one, changing the narrative about fatherhood, I think me and Charles having that conversation, because that was a very in-depth conversation. But the conversation touched on so many things because it identified the things that people say about us. And we kind of discussed, hey, these stereotypes, they say we don't care about children. We discussed that. We didn't shy away from that and say, no, we don't. No, we have to do a better job of that. So we addressed a lot of those tough issues. Okay. And I think that was one of my favorites because, again, we hit those issues. We didn't shy away. What are all the stereotypes you think about black fathers? Okay.
I mean,
and this is what we are and this is what we aren't.
Right. I mean, I've been told that I'm an alien because I came up in a whole different household. So how I view black men and black fathers is not your average. I mean, I feel like I put them on a pedestal. I think they're the greatest men ever, so it's just funny how in different people's eyes, how they see things differently.
But let me ask you that though. Why do you hold black men in that pedestal, or black fathers? My father is he was an amazing man, to me growing up, still is a great father. And then my parents had a convenience store, so I was around other men that were like, that was helping my dad run the store, and they were just good guys. They protected me. My uncle, which was, he's not my blood relative, but he was my dad's best friend. He is a good guy, so I never saw black men in any other light other than, I'm kind of like, what is everybody talking about? What's the problem? So that's how I grew up. So this love that I have for black men is untainted. I don't have any issues, and anything that I've gotten along the way, it was because of my relationships, and I understand with people with conflict and matters of the heart. So I never took it personally, like, man, ain't nothing. I just got it, that we were growing up and maturing and going through growing pains. So my view is different. See, that touched on another thing, though, even though you talk about this podcast. A lot of women tune into our podcast, and a lot of things that we talk about, they're like, I would have never thought that. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of you said, you were naive to so many things. A lot of them feel the same way because they grew up in a home with a father. So when you discuss some of these issues, the way dads are fighting to get time, or they're going to court back and forth about this, or they're paying this much money in child support, like, huh? People do that? Or people don't want to let you see your kids?
Yeah, I didn't ever put child support on Shason's father. You know, I felt like whatever you were supposed to do, you're supposed to do, and that's for you to live with. But I was also blessed with a great job, a great support system, so there wasn't this grabbing for money or anything. I was cool. So so enough about what I got going on. So what opportunities have opened up from launching the podcast? That's what I want to know. What lanes have been open for you? What great things have happened in lieu of?
Man, a lot of speaking engagements. A lot of speaking engagements. People often want us to come in just to talk about the story and encourage fathers. So I think that's been the biggest thing. Just a lot of speaking engagements, opportunities to meet a lot of fathers. We actually launched a health and wellness series.
Okay.
Kind of where we've done some pop-up fitness programs to where we wanted dads to come out, just kind of get dads more involved. But due to COVID, we missed a lot of opportunities too, because I think what we do is more in person.
Right.
So we've been on a couple panels discussing the fatherhood journey. We're actually getting ready to work on a program. I won't speak of it too much right now, but it's like a strength circle for men.
Okay.
And they want us to kind of facilitate the strength circle. So we have an organization we're in talks with now about this strength circle we want to establish for men.
Okay, so I'm going to throw you a curveball.
What's up?
How do the babies feel about your podcast?
Man.
The daughters. And when are they going to be on?
They come in.
Because I heard in the background somebody was like, Dad, I can help you. So when is the debut for the babies?
So you heard the creative director of the podcast, my baby Amari. Peyton, I'm gonna go with my oldest first. Peyton, she's that preteen. So it's kind of like you never really know if she likes it. It's more like,
oh, you'll never know.
It's like
you'll never know.
It's like, how you think about the podcast?
It's fine.
It's fine. It's like it's never enough for you to say like, man, damn, if I need you to stroke my ego,
you're not gonna get it.
Happen.
Not from no teenage girl.
But so I mean, I'm cool with that. But she'll say, but she's hit me sometimes. Say, Daddy, I really like it. So I'm cool with it. It's but I don't get. It's very just that I like it. Okay, or just now with Amari thinks it's the greatest thing in the world. She swears I'm a celebrity in her eyes because I'm on YouTube. Like Daddy's on YouTube. He's a star. So it's like when she sees that makes her think, damn, Dad's a star.
You are.
Well, I don't really look at it that way. I'm just an average dude telling a story. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Doing something I love to do. But she loves it. She's always trying to see, like, my baby has a notebook of podcast notes. Like, hey, Dad, we sit down and meet. Hey, Dad, can we meet today? I want to discuss some ideas I'm thinking for the podcast. So she literally has a notebook.
So she's an executive producer.
She is. I promise you, she's the executive producer of the podcast.
Okay.
In her mind. So she's like, hey, Dad, I love it. Hey, I'm telling my friends at school, like she goes to school and tell her friends, like, my dad has a podcast.
She might be a little Issa Rae.
Hey, man, she got
in the making.
Hey, man, I water the flower.
Okay.
Now, my girls, and me and Charles have been talking about this for a while. The kids are going to come on they're going to come on next season. Okay. So I got them set up, and they're going to come on and interview us and just talk through the journey because, again, we want you to see we're dads.
I'm so excited.
That's probably going to be one of the most viewed episodes outside of yours. I can see
her being like, Dad, so when we were supposed to do such and such, you in trouble.
Oh, no, she's definitely going to jump on. Like, she's probably going to become a star after that episode because people get a chance to see that personality. Now, my baby, oldest, is going to be very reserved. Like, I don't. You never know. But she's a cheerleader. See, she comes out when she's on the court, on the field.
On,
yeah. When she's out there performing, now she's ready.
So so I'm going to ask you a split question. Okay. How has the podcast influenced your parenting, and how has the parenting influenced your pod? Because it's a two-way question.
Okay. How has the podcast influenced my parenting?
Are you more conscious about things that you do? Have you pulled from your guests and some questioning or some riveting answers that they have given you that you want to take back home? Like, how has it influenced, and the people on the podcast influence your parenting at home? Because you have custody of
my baby.
Of your baby, right?
The baby, Amari.
Okay.
With the podcast, it's influenced my parenting tremendously. I think a lot of times hearing dad's stories and hear the different ways they do different things. Okay. I'm like, man, I can implement that. So I think that's been even a win for me because hearing some of those stories and how they parent,
Okay.
I started to implement a lot of those things. So just sharing, I think that's that village again. That village is sharing, and sometimes you don't even know what you're doing to somebody. So I've took a lot of things from dads. I'm like, okay, I need to implement that. Oh, this a practice you guys have at home. I need to try that.
Okay.
And so it's helped me out a lot.
All right.
It has.
So-
but the other part is, what's the other part?
Go ahead. The other part is, so it's influenced your parenting, but how has your parenting influenced the podcast? So some things at home that you brought on set, with you as being a parent. What new experiences along the way? Because every day is different when you have kids.
Oh, yeah.
Every stage is different. From being a toddler to being, middle school.
Yeah.
Middle school is very different from high school. So how has that influenced the guests that you bring on, the questions that you've asked people, and things that you thought about, like this happened to me the other day?
Well, I share my parenting life with the podcast. I try to share my story, and everything that I go through, I try to share. Because sometimes I'm trying to pick up game on, hey, how can I do something different? Like you say, this happened to me the other day. Hey, what about this? So I try to just share my life. So my life has influenced the podcast because some of the things that I don't know, those are questions that I ask a lot of times too, or things that I'm gonna say 50-50 about, I may ask during this journey too. So my life, the podcast has helped me in areas that maybe I didn't know some things.
Okay.
So I think that's it for me, just asking questions.
Would you consider the podcast a form of therapy?
Hell yeah. Okay. Oh man, it's therapeutic like hell for me.
And do you think your babies are benefiting from the podcast too?
I do because I think they get a better version of their father. Because I think I get a chance, like you say, therapy. I get a chance to release some things. I get a chance to help some people. So it's like a win-win. Like I often feel like this is the space that God wants me to be in.
Okay.
I just think I'm still navigating through this, I'm gonna say through this sea to find the right path. But I think this is the direction he wants me to go in.
So you feel like this is part of your purpose?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that. I do. Because I feel like he gave it to me, and I feel like what I've been through is, again, designed to share. And I think the way it's shared definitely can touch people and inspire them. Because I try to be as raw and as transparent as possible. Because I think I don't want to give you a story the way it's sugar-coated. I want to give you something very real. And I think anything I've been through, you know it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when you listen to rap. If I rap about certain things, but I've done those things, my credibility goes through the roof.
Right.
So everything that a father's been through, I've been through that. I've been through, they taking $600 a month out my check before I get it. Or they taking $1,200 a month out my check before I get it. The feeling of, how do I win when they taking so much? And that's why I tell people, like, even when they did that to me, that was like a blessing in disguise. Because they took this money, but God just seemed like he just gave me so much more money. Then I bought my house, and I was just having more money. When they were taking more money out of my check, when I thought I couldn't make it, I was making it.
Right.
So that's the testimony through that piece.
Okay.
But I know I'm doing this work. I know I am.
So been a lot of inspirational moments while you're doing your podcast. What has been the most shocking moment? Like, you be like, did this so-and-so say that? Cut the film. We're gonna go beat his ass in the back.
I think, man, you know what? I think we had a dad on one of the Win Wednesdays. And
because it's live. Wednesdays is live.
Yeah,
so
they're
there's
live.
no controlling what somebody might say or editing or anything.
But he didn't say anything bad. It was just like listening to a situation. Sometimes you think you got it bad, but somebody tells you something, you like, nah, they got it a little worse. Because his child, he had not seen his child in years.
Oh my God.
And he thought the child was living out of state. But the child was almost within like 7-minute proximity away from him. But he had not seen the child. And I know even during that story, he talked about how he was just so happy to have his child back in his life, to where he just played a role as the dirtbag just so she was there. He didn't want to tell the true story about what happened with mom. He played the dirtbag role just to keep that relationship with his daughter. And I just thought, wow, damn, that's big. Because most brothers, if you knew you didn't do anything wrong, you would have definitely voiced that. But for you to say, I'm going to take a step back or hit in my character in order to maintain a relationship with my child, because this kind of what's been painted of me, and through time, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to mend that. That was hard for me because it's like, damn, bro, you ain't going to say nothing. But he understood his purpose.
Right.
So that was kind of bothering me because, again, your child, they said your child had moved away, but your child was still
right there
in the state. but you didn't know, and they would not answer phone calls, would not return your calls. And often, even in those moments, I'm like, what the hell does somebody do that bad? They can't even see their child. And I think that's, as a community, we got to get outside of that. Because even if me and Shea are dating and we have a child, I may have been the worst boyfriend, husband ever. That has nothing to do with me being a great father.
Right.
But a lot of times, and I'm going to say this, and I hope I'm not offending any ladies, we just lump everything into one category. He wasn't shit to me. So that means he gonna be a sorry daddy. I may have been the worst dude ever to you. I may have been a walking nightmare for you as a boyfriend or husband.
Right.
But I may be a phenomenal father. And I think we have to put things in different categories.
Right.
Just out of fairness to the children. Because if you're gonna pull my child away from me, you be woman enough too to tell my child, your daddy really wanted to be there. It was me on the bull. But we're never gonna tell that side. You know.
Well, I think kids have discernment, and they're able to tell when, you know, some kids are easily manipulated, but as they grow up and they start forming their own opinion and they can see things clearly, they'll be able to tell, you know, what was unfairly, you know, they'll be angry and how they was dissed the hand on how their father was supposedly towards them when the truth is this. They'll find out, you know, so you can't really hide for long. That's kind of how I feel about it. So,
and even mothers too, you ain't got to bash them. Because the truth always going to, like the old people say, it's going to come out in the wash.
Yeah,
but it's going to come out in
hurt.
the wash though, Shea. That's why I think even with like women, and I commend like the real solid women who, regardless as to what happened, I keep my child at the forefront. The child is, or the children, they have to be the forefront of the decision making.
Yes.
It ain't about him, it ain't about me, it's about them. What's good for them. So I commend women for that. Because again, like I said, it's going to come out in the wash. And I ain't, even like with the podcast, I'm not going to sit up here and say every dude and everything we've always done as men has been great. And that's why I say even during that changing the narrative, we talked about that. Some of this pain is pain that we've caused.
Right.
Because of not being there, not doing what we say we're going to do. So we mad about it, but some of this is stuff we've caused. But the way to fix that is saying, okay, I messed up, but moving forward, I'm going to be consistent. I'm gonna be a man of my word. If something changes, I'm going to communicate when something happens.
But that comes with maturity and growth. So, you know.
You have to.
So, okay, so here we go.
Oh, man. That don't sound good.
So, when you are starting your podcast, because I've heard you say that you've been nervous on occasion, what do you do to get yourself all hyped up and energized when you're getting ready to go in a podcast with your guest?
Man, honestly, I'm nervous. And I tell people that all the time. I had somebody tell me the other day, it's like, man, when I look at you, you don't look nervous. I'm like, bro, I'm nervous.
Why? Why are you nervous?
Because I think you have these cameras, you have these lights, you know, so it's a different thing. And the product that we're putting out, it's going to be worldwide.
Right.
So I'm looking like, okay, I'm a little nervous, I'm feeling this way. But typically about, even if you go back and look at episodes, probably about the 3-minute mark, let's go. I'm good.
Okay.
I kind of forget that the camera's out.
You have a little drink in your cup? Where your cup at?
I ain't no drink. I have water in my cup, people. That's water in my cup, okay? We're not going to do this.
What does this say right here?
But, nah, I do get nervous. But then I kind of really tap into the mission.
Okay.
And I tap into the mission. And I try to stay locked into that. But I am nervous from time to time. But I was like that as an athlete. I would get nervous sometimes because I would play the game in my head. So even the same thing with this podcast, try to play it in my head too. Okay. This might happen. What about this question? So I'm walking through the whole show in my head.
Okay.
So I mean, but for the most part, I like the feeling of being nervous because I think it pushes me then too to want to put out a great product.
And you're not bored with it. I think nervousness shows that you're still excited about everything. Yeah. So what do you think is the biggest misconception about the podcast as it pertains to, do people think like it's a podcast for fathers that's bashing women? Kevin Samuels, man. I'm just waiting to throw it in there.
Man, don't do Kevin. Kevin has some points sometimes. Now,
Kevin does not have any points, and this is where we and you are going to have a problem. So I'm going to let you answer that, then we'll go back to Kevin.
Yeah, we can talk about Kevin.
Because Kevin needs to be canceled.
Okay, we'll talk about Kevin offline. And this whole cancel culture. We'll talk about it offline. But you say the biggest misconception is that we're bashing women. Mm-hmm. Because I had I had one of my, but it's not.
No, I'm not saying it is, but that's one of the biggest misconceptions.
Yeah, people. The biggest misconception is that it's to bash somebody. And it's not. Because I even had one of my guys hit me, and I wanted him to go on Win Wednesday. And he said, bro, I don't really have no drama. I can't really be on y'all show. And I say, damn, that what you think? I'm like,
we want to hear the good stories.
I'm like, we want to hear the good stories. Because what we try to do even on the Win Wednesday is highlight a father who's kicking ass at fatherhood. It's like, bro, we're trying to give you your flowers while you're here. We want to say, hey, man, y'all say it's not a good black man. We got one on the show tonight that we're going to talk about. But I think what people hear is that, because we always ask this question, what was your most difficult moment? Or we ask some questions about co-parenting. And a lot of those questions, even when we ask you your most difficult moment, it's not for messy purposes. It's for someone to hear that and say, hey,
be able to relate.
I can relate to that. Oh man, damn, that's how you handle that? Okay, cool. I'm gonna implement this in my life.
Right.
So that's why, and that's what that's about. But people equate that as drama. Never once do you go on the show do we, oh man, baby mamas ain't this or this, that. No, I'm not gonna do that. That ain't this place. Because that's not what it's for. It's really to serve as an outlet for men to express their feelings. And even for women who may listen and say, damn, I didn't think about it like that. I never think about that from his perspective. Or I didn't know it was like that.
To be able to empathize.
Yeah, we want you to be empathetic. We do. Empathetic, sympathetic, all of them.
All of them, you take them all.
We're going to take them all. But I think that's been the biggest misconception. And I don't want anybody to think that's this.
Okay.
This is just a platform, again, to where men are just talking about topics as relates to fatherhood, or these are just fathers talking about topics, because every topic is not always about fatherhood. Some topics are current events, trending topics, but mainly we try to speak around that parenting space, because we know, again, if we provide this community, or we provide a community where we create transparent conversations, we'll create better families, because regardless of what people want to say, men are needed in families.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We are needed.
Absolutely.
And don't let these people trick you to think, I don't need no man. No, we're needed.
Yeah, I don't even know where that comes from. Like I said, we had a discussion before, and I think it's a defense mechanism, you know, from the hurt. You really want somebody, but the first thing a person can say is, I don't want that, or I don't need that. You know, when in fact, that's probably something that they really, truly, and very much so want. So, you know, tying all this together, because this now, the Firm Podcast, has really, alongside with helping, it is a business as well. So what have you learned as, you know, a business owner of the podcast? What have you learned in tying that together? You know, fathers and business and the podcast. What have you learned from this?
Man.
On a business standpoint.
Business side is that it's work. It's a lot of work. And
because you got to lay this out. You got to put together a whole layout, and you got to stick to your times that you're showing, and you got to pay people, because now you are the boss. You got to pay. I
think the biggest thing is that, you know, being consistent. Because I think that's one of the first things when you're starting a business, you want to be consistent, and you want to produce a quality product. Because that was always my goal out the gate, like, hey, when we do this, I want this to be high-end production. I want you, when you see it, I want you to say, man, that's dope. I didn't want anything where I felt like it was very half-assed. So I knew I wanted to put a quality product out. That's why I was very, I'm going to say strategic in the planning, because I wanted to, my grandfather uses, I wanted to walk down the hill. Like he talked about with the bulls and the cows. I wanted to walk down the hill.
That's a Colors reference if y'all haven't seen the movie for all you young kids.
I didn't want to run. I wanted to walk down the hill. So I wanted to put out a quality product out the gate, and I wanted to be consistent.
Right.
I wanted to be consistent. I wanted to be a man of my word. If I said I was going to do it, I wanted to do it, regardless, even if one father showed up to an event. We were going to still have this event, and we were going to give the experience of 2,000 fathers. Okay. So I wanted to do that.
So outside of the podcast, you guys have events for the firm too?
We do.
Gotcha.
But I wanted to, even with this business piece too, I learned that it's a lot of things that I don't know. But I think that was a good thing, because it made me uncomfortable. So I had to connect with people, talk with people, have people tell me, hey, this is how you feel this out. Because I didn't know, and I wasn't afraid to not know. I wasn't afraid to ask. Like, even like, you know, me and you, I pulled up on you and said, hey, Shea, just chopped up about some business stuff, because as long as I've known you've always been a hustler or ran some type of business. So just kind of some of the pitfalls of this, because there's been a lot of pitfalls too during this process. It's been a lot, man. Like, it's a lot. But like I say, God is good, man.
Yeah, I got a quote on my wall that says, entrepreneur is a person who builds the plane on the way down. So I'm always surprised how people feel like who are standing on the other side of business, they got it all figured out. See, this is what your problem is. You need to do this, this, and this. And nothing is ever this bullet point perfect situation. You know, like when we were in college, I took economics and they're telling you all these scenarios and I'm like, yeah, that's not how it really goes. Yeah. So the fact that you're learning and you're open to the experience and you're not falling apart at everything that doesn't go your way. Because you didn't have some challenges apparently recently.
It's been some challenges.
And you've navigated through that, right?
But I think too, through the challenge, that's where your character comes to the forefront. And I think those challenges ultimately just sharpen you.
Right.
Because they make you better.
I call it boot camp.
Yeah, they make you better, bro. And I think, because sometimes when you look at, even in business, we'll just get so accustomed to doing things the way we're doing them. And then when something happens, it shakes you up. So now Shea has to learn, or Nick has to learn a new skill. Like you have to go into that box and find something inside of you like, okay, let's go.
That's right.
We got this. We got this. And that's one of the hardest things. But to me, even the challenges, those have been the biggest blessings, though. Because I know God got something on the other side. It's a test, you know what I'm saying, more or less. It's like, hey, man, what you going to do at this test? Are you going to crumble or are you going to push through?
Right.
And if this is your mission, I'm going to test you because I want to see, do you want this? And if you want it, I'm going to give it to you, but I want to see what you're going to put in. So it's been a test. I think it's been we've gained a lot of people during this journey. We've lost a few during this journey. But that's the nature of the beast, too.
That's right.
That's the nature of the beast.
That's right. So how do you find your guests?
Man, I find guests from dads who I think are just really dope. I try to always find dads or guests who are, I'm not going to just say dads, it's moms too.
Yeah.
So I find the guests for people who I think kind of can relate to the topic. But then also we have, if you go on our website, firmpodcast.com, you can submit a guest. If you have somebody you want to be on the show, just send us over to them. Because I don't want to try to keep it to my circle. I want to expand to different circles.
Right.
Because I like to hear different people. Like one thing, even with me, I'm a people's person. I'm a people's introvert. That's my character. That's what I define my personality as.
I like you, but I'm cool over here.
Yeah, I like people, but I like to be in my own by myself too. But I find guests just off of just the topics, who I've known, who I've talked to, but I prefer people to send guests too because I want to meet people. I want to get some of their experiences because I don't have all the answers. And I'm never going to play it, even as a owner of the business. Me and Charles never play it like we got all the answers.
Right.
No, I don't. That's
so
why
I heard you got a super fan that you'll be interviewing coming up here. So
who's my super fan?
I thought you had a super fan. What's her name?
No. Oh, Jazz. Yeah, Jazz is gonna come on soon. Jazz is one of our fans, like who's been tapped in for a while. Okay. Like Jazz has been tapped in for day one. People like you, Jazz, man, Tony, Joel, DJ. It's so many, man.
Shout out.
It's so many. I mean, I can go on for days. Like we have people who've been with us since day one, and I appreciate them so much, and we appreciate them because they've just encouraged us, and sometimes even too, they just don't even know what their words have done for us, like the words. And I think my partner said he has Blueprint Podcast. He just kind of hit me one day saying like, "Hey man, it's kind of like because I was kind of at a place." I wasn't questioning what we were doing, but sometimes when you're creating something, whether you have a business you want to do, people really want this service that I'm trying to provide. And he kind of gave me an analysis. He said, just like when you had your grandmother, when you were a kid, grandma would just cook a meal. Whoever wanted to eat, they would eat. But the meal was ready. Yeah. So same thing with the podcast. You do it. Whoever wants this message, you got it there ready for them and they can receive it. So that kind of inspired me to keep going because I'm like, okay, just cook the meal. Just create the content. Whoever wants it, whoever likes it, they'll definitely rock with it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What do you see for the future of the Firm podcast? Do you see a franchise? Do you see a community center? What do you see coming up? I want to hear your year goal, your next year goal. I want to hear your ultimate goal. I just want to hear and you don't have to, like, I want to hear the end, like the end game is this huge, big thing. And then maybe next year we want to, our next step for next year is this. So do you have a 1 year, 5 year, 20-year plan? What do you have in store?
Ultimate goal. I'm going to go ultimate first. I'm going to go high end. I want to create a center to where we provide resources for fathers, whether it may be counseling, employment, financial resources. Because I want to
Legal.
legal. I mean, that's why I'm saying the financial piece. I want to
Yeah.
be able to, if a dad needs to go to court, I want to be able to get you representation. You know, so I want to be a one-stop shop for fathers.
Okay.
So that's, because I'm going to stay in that lane. And I'm not taking anything from women. I just want our children or whoever. I'm just going to focus on dads. That's going to be my lane, like focusing on dads. So I would want to create, again, a resource center to help them in any areas they need help in, i.e. counseling, career, financial, legal.
Curveball.
What's up?
Profit or non-profit? For-profit or non-profit? Or that's still in the
It's still in.
trying to figure
We
it
got
out?
both. I got both registered. So I'm
Okay.
good either way. So
Okay.
I'm good either way. So we got both registered. That's one of the pieces we're trying to work through. Because sometimes with that non-profit space, that can be. Both of them are very interesting. You
Yeah.
just got to pick a lane and just kind of get in that lane and drive that lane. I think. Still working through that. So I'm leaving it that way. still working through that one.
Okay.
But that's a long-term goal.
Okay.
Short-term goal, I'm going to say podcast-wise first, keep doing content. But really, I would love to quit my 9 to 5 and just strictly do podcast stuff. Like, I would love to, that just be my full time. Because it's something I'm passionate about. I think when you work for people, you push their agenda to where I'm in a space here to where I can kind of create my own narrative and push my own agenda. I'm kind of we're the end all be all as it relates to this podcast. So we can say, okay, we want to do this. We don't have to go through 50 million people to get something signed.
Right.
No, we can just move on it. So that would just to create dope content and do it probably more frequent. Like I would love to have like a little radio show where we just check in and do the podcast weekly. Now on the fathers inspired, restored, and motivated side, outside of the podcast, short-term goals are, I would love to do a fatherhood conference. Want to do a fatherhood awards event.
Okay.
To where we recognize maybe 2 or 3 fathers every 6 months or every year.
Okay.
We got Saturdays. So Saturdays is kind of a once a month event to where we get dads together and just find a breakfast spot, bring our kids out, eat breakfast, and just have black men, just not even black men, just men in general, fellowship. But
You know, Atlanta became the brunch and breakfast spot now.
We leave that to y'all, man. We probably go do like a pop-up in the park, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody
gotcha.
like doing something in the park to where we can do an outing with our kids.
Okay.
Because our biggest thing is we're going to flood the media with images of black men doing great things with their children.
Okay, which brings me to this.
Oh, God.
Okay, which brings me to this.
Okay.
So Nick being such a charismatic person, full of personality, you got all these different legs to the media, and Atlanta being a hot spot for reality shows.
Okay. Oh, like yourself reality
I don't know
star.
what you're talking about. Do you see yourself potentially either having your own reality shows about fathers, or would you ever be on a reality show?
I would not want to be on a reality show.
There was a little pause in there, but go ahead.
I would not. I don't know, man. That's a little too scripted for me, man.
I think you would be great. It doesn't have to be scripted. I think you would be great.
You know, I never say never. If it's the right opportunity, we can talk. I'll say that because you never want to say never. I would love to do a reality show on fathers, though. That would be dope. Just
I think there's so many different,
show you the day-to-day, just show you different dynamics. Because even like
there's networks
some
out
of
there
these
that
ones that
definitely
have
put
it,
it
like
together.
nobody shows the raw, real story. Like I would love for you to show a dad like his struggles and just really walk through that path.
Okay.
I think that would be dope.
I think you should put that together and have your executive producer, which is your daughter.
Well, she's only, hey, you know, we
You know,
can't.
they have the best ideas.
They do, but good God.
Very, she'd be like, and the brats will come on, and then.
But I would, I mean, it's because there's so many ways you can spin it, man. Because I like even, you could show the dad who's kind of going through the court system, catching. You could show the dad who's in the home, active. You could show the dad who's walked away from his family. See that side. You can show the dad, even for me, the dad who's raising a child, especially a daughter, because people don't even know the hell that you catch when you're a man raising a child.
And how old are your daughters again?
Well, 8 and 12.
So you still haven't hit that real puberty stage.
No, you hadn't hit it yet. You hadn't hit it yet, man. You hadn't hit it. But it's just, I mean, so I would definitely be open to that, a reality show for dads, for that one. Now me, it just has to be the right setting. I would probably say no, but if it's the right setting and it's something that's always going to put me in a good light, I'm good. Okay. I don't want to be on nothing where we fight no ratchet. I want to be on something
No,
that's
I think you control your narrative. Yeah. I mean, you control yourself. So what I learned about reality TV is there's some things that they can clip and flip and do, but for the most part, you control yourself. So, you know, people be like, well, they did this and they did that. Well, in that moment, you had opportunity to either take it up or take it down. Yeah. Now, they edit things all kind of ways, you know. Yeah. I mean, I had a moment where I was like, what? And they made it seem like I was just so jealous about some stuff, but you never caught me, like, flying off the handle because I also realized my mom and everybody else was looking at me, so I just refused to. I was like, my mom paid good money, and my mom and dad paid good money for school and these teethuses, so the last thing they're going to see is somebody knocking them out or me acting a whole fool.
Bro, you knock my teeth out, I'm done with the reality show. I'm done. If you knock my teeth out now, hell, I'm done.
Yeah, you a little bit of hell on Nikes. That's what you are. That's what I can say. So what is the biggest misconception about you, Nick, the person, the man? What is the biggest misconception about you as a person? Let's move the podcast. Let's move everything away from the individual.
Biggest misconception, I would say that he's always good. Because I think sometimes when people meet you, they just kind of see you a certain way, like, man, he don't ever have no problems. He's always good.
Oh, good like that.
Because you just always kind of, your aura, how you move is like, it's going to be all right. And I think you just never really show a bad day. I think people just don't think I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Right. Because it's sometimes, like I deal with things like everybody else. But I think sometimes people feel like, well, he don't deal with nothing. He don't never really show that. Right. So I think that's the biggest misconception about me as a man, that I'm always good. And people feel like sometimes too, another one is I'm very nonchalant. People feel like that means you don't care. I just had that kind of cool breeze mentality. Like my mom, that's her line name when she was in college, when she was online to be AKA Cool Breeze. So that's kind of, I got her personality. It's kind of that whatever, like if I can control it, cool. If I can't, cool. But I don't really overly stress about things that I can't control. Right. And so that kind of throws some people off because like, damn, yeah, like he don't care. No, I care. I just know, if I can control it, I'm going to do my part. If I can't, I can't. Okay, so speaking about your mom, was your mom a single mom, or was she married, or? She was. My mom was a single mother. I want to say her and my dad got divorced when I was like around 7 or 8. Okay. So she pretty much was a single mother until I was like 23, 24. Wow. Then she got married when I was in college, and I ended up meeting my pops. Okay. Which who stepped in has been phenomenal. But she was a single mother, man. Single mother of 3. Okay. Three children, two boys and a girl. Okay. My sister. So. Now, will you ever bring her on a podcast? She's definitely coming. When? Next season. Oh, I'm excited. So we're gonna have the girls. So we're looking at an episode where Charles will bring his babies in, my babies will be in, and we're gonna bring both our moms in. Okay. And just talk them around that space. Like ultimately too, I'd love to even bring my dad in. Okay. My biological father. I'd love to bring him in and bring my pops in too, just to get those different sides. Okay. Sounds like you got a whole lineup for next season. Well, it ain't gonna be next season. It's gonna be a slow walk. Okay. Cause see, my dad, man, that's an old school man. Like he gonna get on here, like he ain't gonna really say too much. He ain't gonna really say too much. You'd be surprised old school man. When she get him going. How many episodes have you had? Do you know how many episodes you've had in this last year? Podcast wise, we've had creeping up on 24. This season will make 24, but I think right now this episode here will make like 21. Okay. Like 21 episodes. So we had 3 seasons of podcasts. We've had about 4 of Win Wednesdays. Can you explain to me what Win Wednesdays is? So Win Wednesdays is a piece that we did to stay connected, stay relevant. Because I know we're in the space of social media, so it's like, damn, Shea could do something this week, and next week she's considered old news. So you have to find a way to keep consistent content. So with us, the Win Wednesday piece was just something to fill in because we release podcast episodes every other Monday. So it's typically every first and third Monday of the month we release a podcast episode, unless we're in the middle of seasons. So when Wednesday would fall in on that second and fourth Wednesday of each month. So that's a piece designed on Facebook for us to just highlight a father. We go on Zoom, we go live, so whatever you see is whatever you get. Is very raw. Yeah. But we talk for typically about an hour, and we just talk through the fatherhood journey. So Wednesday, again, is just an opportunity to celebrate a father who's winning / kicking ass at fatherhood.
Okay.
So it's a lot of dads who, just maybe some average Joes, we go from working blue-collar dads to maybe high-end dads. We just want to touch a little bit of everybody.
Okay.
Because in our mind, everybody's a star. Everybody's a star. And so we take that very seriously because we know a lot of these kings, man, they get an opportunity to be recognized. That means a lot to them. Okay. So we just have that peace, and we try to make sure we do a tasteful piece. Okay. And we always portray them in the best manner.
So I hear you saying stars. Have you had any celebrities on your show?
To me, all the dads celebrities, just being honest.
Come on,
being honest, they're celebrities to me. Because to their children, they're the greatest thing ever. So they're celebrities to me.
Okay.
Because that's like, brother, I don't care if you ain't nothing else to nobody else. To your children, you're their world.
Right.
So they're celebrities. Now, as far as like what society deems as a celebrity, no.
No?
We haven't.
It's coming.
I mean, we haven't. I mean, it'll be there in due time.
It's coming.
It'll be there in due time.
So how often do you have women on your show? Or is it more geared towards, we want to say, you lean towards the men, but we'll sprinkle a few women in there for fair effect?
No, I have women on the show at least once every season. We have women on the show at least once every season. Yeah, at least once.
So one time out of 21 episodes?
No, out of 8. It's only 8 in the season. It's only 8. Golly, bro, once.
I'm just asking
so
for a
we
friend.
have we have women on the show at least once every season. Because a lot of times it's typically for the co-parenting episode. Okay. Because we want to get that other side. We are talking about how we can incorporate more episodes with women in there. Because I think we want the conversation to touch both sides. Okay. This season, actually though, season 3, we've actually had more women on the show than we've ever had. Because I know you've been on the show, what, twice this season? This will make twice.
So you didn't have all of 2 times.
Yeah. So we've had a total of about 4 women on the season, on the shows. Okay. Well, excuse me, women have made appearances at least 4 times. Okay. Okay. We'll work on getting some more. We're not sexist. We love you ladies. We love you ladies being on the show because, again, y'all give us a different perspective. We need to understand that. Like, I know we're working on something for the co-parenting. Hey, put yourself in my shoes. Because we want to talk about what we deal with, and also I want to hear what a woman deals with. Right. Because sometimes men, we think, damn, Shea always bitter. You don't understand why that mom is bitter. Okay. Because you don't understand what she's going through. Like, maybe you don't pick the child up. She's with the child 24/7, so yeah, she's a little frustrated. So we want to have a conversation around putting each other in each other's shoes.
Yeah, you should have a round table.
Oh, that's what it's going to be.
Discussion.
That's what it's going to be.
Do a battle of the sexes.
Yeah, it may be like a conversation and cocktail. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so we
drinking,
talking.
Go after the cocktails get to flowing. How much of a conversation you really go have?
Yeah, but it get a little raw then. You know, it get a little X-rated, man. A little X-rated in the sense of the language. You know what I'm saying? Because some things may be said like, oh, well, we ain't wanted to go that way. But again, that's probably going to be a big one.
So I want to ask you, like, who are you calling out to be a part of the movement? You know, of the Firm podcast. Are you calling attention to who out there? Is it, you know, just based on black men or just men period, or, you know, it's okay to focus on your people, but is it, you know,
our focus is,
would it be white men are involved or Hispanic men, or you know?
We don't discriminate. It's strictly for fathers, but I think our target group is black fathers. Because I feel like our community truly needs this resource. Okay. We need a place to where people look like us. They're speaking our language. They're kind of speaking about our real situations. So our target group is black fathers, but we're open to anybody. So we don't discriminate. We're just, again, we have a white father coming on one of the Win Wednesdays. Okay. And I think it was dope for him because
He's coming up, or he's
he's coming up.
himself?
He's coming up.
Okay.
He's coming up soon. I don't know when.
That's
we're
gonna be
working on it.
interesting.
But it's gonna be interesting because he made a comment, and this is how we even caught wind of it. So this white guy, he ended up marrying black female. So she has a black son. He said, I can raise you to be a man, but I can't raise you to be a black man. And I thought that was like mind blowing for a white guy to even know it's something else you need.
Right.
That I can't give you from a white man's standpoint.
Okay.
I'm a white man, but I can't raise you to be a black man.
Wow.
So he kind of connected his son with a mentor to help with that side. And to me, that was like, wow. Because a lot of people wouldn't even do that, but they don't even understand the stresses and pressures of being a black man.
Seems like it's a tug of war. And I feel like people fight so hard once they are in an interracial couple, you know, for people to see both sides. And then they fight so hard on outside forces, but then internally when they get inside, there's a fight between the two for people to recognize both cultures.
Yes,
so I think that's going to be I cannot wait to see it.
Oh, that's going to be dope. I'm excited.
Oh, man. Okay, so next question is, do you do hair? You got 2 daughters. Do you do ponytails and hair, or do you take her to the salon and, like, what do you do?
Hey, man, if I got to do hair.
Or did you do somebody hair and they was like, Daddy, this is not going to work.
But you know what? I can do a mean ponytail.
One or 2?
Really one. If I can get you to do one, I can whip the one up. Hey, man,
I don't think it's supposed to be like that.
I can whip it up, man. I can give you the one. But it's funny because Amari told me last week, like, Daddy, you do the best ponytails for a dad. Like,
for a dad?
I'll take that. Because I never really had to do her hair, so it's kind of like a different space to where now I have to. I've done it before where I can brush up into a ponytail, but I kind of mastered it now.
Okay.
Now, as far as like braiding or something, I ain't got that piece yet. See, that's a class that we want to work on for dads too. Like, hey, we want to learn how to do hair 101. Yeah, I mean, no.
We're going to give you a number to a good beautician that can help you out.
I want dads to be in. I want a bunch of dads and they're trying to do hair.
Everybody's not talented. I know some women that can't do
but
hair.
But you might can learn though, Shea. You got to learn. Like, we just don't even learn. Like, when you get a daughter, you're like, bro, I gotta pay somebody to do this. But if it's like braids or something, typically for me, I prefer to get it braided because I know that just makes it easy. We can throw this bonnet on, we can tie it up, we're good.
Okay.
So
a couple little personal questions because I know we're getting close to our time.
Okay.
So do you plan on having any more children? Is children in the future for Nick?
No.
You don't want a son?
Let me tell you something.
Because that seems like to be such a big thing for men, not just black men. It's like, I want a son, Simba.
I would. Nah, I ain't having no more. Now, I would love to have a son, but I think it's one of those spaces where, like, I'm kind of good on that. I'm kind of good on having more kids right now. But what I will do is I'll definitely step into, like, a bonus role.
Okay.
And definitely just be a phenomenal dad.
Okay.
Like, I probably won't have any more, like, my biological children, but I'll definitely enter a space to where someone has kids and be a phenomenal bonus dad.
Okay.
You know, so, I mean, and I'll view them as my kids, not, hey, that's somebody else's kids. No, those are mine.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the space I'll be in, like, so no more for me.
So I'm going to put you on a hot seat like y'all tried to do me.
Don't do that.
So
Don't do
Nick
that. Don't do that.
Single?
That's
Is
irrelevant.
he married? Is it complicated? Or what is it?
Oh, my God. Single, not married. Single.
When you say single, let's get the definition down, because some of y'all be trying to be tricky. Are you single and you're dating? Or, you know how people play that here go the line, I'm stepping over it. What are you?
I think, honestly, you're just single, man. Just focus on parenting and, honestly, just business. You know what I'm saying? Focus on those areas.
Nick. Okay, and then how would you, if you were on Hinge, Bumble, or any of that, how would you describe yourself as?
What?
How would you like? I like long walks in Piedmont Park late at night.
No,
like what? Like what? How do you describe it? I take walks on the Beltline. I like riding scooters through Midtown. Like, how would you, if you were pitching yourself? Because we don't have long, you know. Because ultimately I know you're not just going to be single forever. You're gonna have to be some significant somebody to somebody. So let's just go ahead and Go on right straight down through there. I know you've been waiting on me to do it.
Bro,
What's up?
There you go now. You put me in the hot seat. I'm over here sweating a little bit. What you want to know about my pitch?
Like what would be if you were on Hinge or Bumble or on any of those dating apps?
Okay, so those are dating apps.
I don't know.
I didn't know. Okay.
I might be going too far. So, or Plenty of Fish. How would you describe Nick?
Again, a people's introvert, man.
Oh my God, come on, Nick. I wouldn't want to look at that and be like,
Nick
oh, he's the people introvert.
Nick
sounds like a fun date to me.
Nick is like good dude. I love to travel. Simplicity means more to me than anything.
I think you need a dating coach.
So I think, but I may do, but simplicity means a lot to me. Like okay. I value the simple things. I love to travel. I love to shop. I love good company, man. If you're good company, I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. I'm like I said, I'm very simple. I probably would never really do a dating app because that ain't really me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm very simple. I enjoy simple things. Like a good concert, just even kicking it in the park. That's dope to me.
All right. Well, we're gonna leave it off on there because I'm quite sure we're gonna peel back the layers later on. But getting ready to wrap this up. It has been an absolute pleasure
it has.
in putting you on the hot seat. But I want you to just wrap this whole, the firm, what it means to you in the last, moments of our interview on this podcast.
Okay. But thank you again just for sitting down with me. I want to say that first. Thank you.
Yeah, you disrupted my whole day, but it's okay.
One take right on the spot. But this podcast has been everything. It's been something to where I've felt it's been therapeutic. It's been just an opportunity where I feel like I'm just really, again, doing what God has me here to do. I feel like I'm inspiring people. I feel like I'm being a vessel for change. I feel like just even having Charles on the ride, it's been a great ride. But it's just, it's everything, man. I think I'm getting at a loss for words because that's how much it means to me. And just being at a place to where I can just share experiences, gain knowledge from other fathers, and just create an environment to where we're making fatherhood cool, making it great, making dads who are not involved want to be involved. Because we create an environment where it's like, bro, it ain't never too late to show back up. We got this. So it means a lot to me. Like, it's probably one of those things, I think about it, I wake up with it on my mind, I go to sleep with it on my mind, because I'm always thinking of ways for us to be better and ways for us to inspire people, because I think the opportunity to touch people or to inspire people or to change someone's life should never be taken lightly. Because if somebody ever looks back and say, hey, Nick, that episode here just changed my family's life. Damn, I've impacted a whole family, or we've impacted a whole family by a conversation, by sharing our story. So I just love being in this place to where we can inspire people, because I think that's like, even Nip said it, it's like one of the greatest human acts, to inspire people. And I know I have a Kobe quote on my wall at home on my mirror, and I don't want to misquote it, but Kobe just kind of talked about the greatest thing we can do is put people in positions where they can see their own greatness, to inspire them to see the greatness within. And so I kind of look at like this place is that space.
All right, that's it, Nick?
That's it.
All right, well, I want to thank you guys for joining us on the 1-year anniversary of Fathers Inspired, Restored, and Motivated podcast with my guest here today.
The guest slash.
Guest slash the guy, the man, Nick. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Oh, baby, it's been so
Mogul and they know that. Logo on my flow mat. Courtside Chamberlain throwback match my Rolex. Everywhere I go flex. Valet park on some low shit. Whole lot of smoke in that Rory, that thing poke. Burning rubber. Wearing cameras, they was undercovers. Under pressure, made statements turned on their brothers. Never judge you, but the streets will never love you. I wonder what it come to in your brain for you to run to. One's the haters, handcuff us and maces. Call us dumb niggas cause our culture is contagious.